good morning. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out to pay tribute to Mom and for supporting the family at this time. I want you to remember back in 2001 when Mom was at death's door and the Lord spared her life and gave her 13 more years. During that 13 years, she had 4 great-grandchildren born to her. 3 of them she got to play with. She also was able to go on a cruise from California to Mexico. She met a brother and a sister that she had never met before and was able to spend time with them. So the Lord has been good to Mom, and now we know one day she would go, and this time is here. I want you to remember that the Bible tells us the precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. And so we rejoice because she's not suffering anymore. She's gone to meet her reward. On January 29, 1931, Elsie Irene Charles was born to George Joseph and Evangeline Charles in Puerto Barrios, Guatemala, and passed away February 22, 2014, less than a month after her 83rd birthday. She was predeceased by her parents, husband Thomas, and children Borgia and Vanessa. She is survived by her siblings, Ellen, James, Clarine, Cynthia, Gloria Tyler, Gloria Williams, Ernesto, Gilbert, William, and Wilbert, all of whom live in the U.S. and Canada. She's also survived by her children Bianca, Seymour, Olivia, Cecil, Adrian, who lives in Barbados, and Peter of New York, along with grandchildren Hezron, Jonathan, Jason, and Avery, and great-grandchildren Adea, Josiah, Jasmine, and Elisa. We want to make special mention of her son-in-law Samuel, whom you know as Santa, and her adopted daughters Stacy and Supreme. Also surviving Elsie are Compton and 9 other nephews, Leona, and 14 other nieces, and many great-nieces and great-nephews. As you can see, she came from a pretty large family. In 1938, Elsie, Ellen, and James were sent to St. Lucia by boat, the MV Carivera, to keep their grandmother Stephanie company, as she was very lonely and going out of her mind after losing her only daughter in a boat accident. At the age of 19, she married Thomas Laurencin in 1950, and 3 years later gave birth to a daughter who was stillborn. The following year, she gave birth to Bianca, who was followed later by Borgia, Olivia, Vanessa, and Cecil. She had a quiver full then. In 1959, Thomas relocated his family to Trinidad and Tobago. It was in that year her daughter Vanessa passed away at age 2, and she gave birth to Cecil. We always told her she had to have a Trinidadian in the mix. Elsie had been serving her Lord for over 50 years, most of them attending the Boundary Road Pentecostal Church, which was later renamed the Trinity Hope Center. As a teenager, I heard my mother tell the Lord on many, many occasions at prayer, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," a promise she endeavored to keep with all her heart. In her service to the Lord, Elsie was very hospitable to many in need, especially opening her house to those in need of a place to stay. That was her way of giving thanks to her Heavenly Father who gifted her with a house. Believe me, there was always a lot of people at that house. She had a heart for people and was well loved and respected by those who knew her. She was affectionately known as Miss Thomas, Miss Laurencin, Mom, Auntie, Sister Laurencin, Mammy, and the Whistling Lady, among other names. This whistling was a great help to the children to know her whereabouts, especially if housework was not yet done. You know, WikiLeaks and Peter heard Elsie's whistling and swung those gates wide open and said, "Come on in." One of her many strengths, like it or not, was her very frank and direct assessment of any situation. And people basically knew where they stood with her. And because she was so knowledgeable, young people loved to hang out with her and listening to her jokes especially, to her stories, and getting her straightforward opinion. The big almond tree in the front yard served as a lineman spot and was nicknamed the Almond Tree University. One of her favorite pastimes was watching African movies, And she spoke of these actors' names in movies just the way we would speak about Hollywood stars. So if you ask her about Tom Cruise, she couldn't tell you. But if you ask her about this African star, she could tell you what movie, what make, what year, and whatever shows he started in, you know. Elsie will forever be missed and will continue to live in our hearts. Thankfully, we do not sorrow as those who have no hope, but we will see her in the morning when we meet our Lord. Good night, Mom. See you in the morning.